Okay, so yesterday was the Overwatch 2 live stream for PvP, and it's revealed some very interesting stuff, hasn't it? And there's been a lot of opinion on it. I wanted to give myself, this is quite a lot of time after, in terms of hours, since the live stream, so I wanted to give myself time to think about it in some respects, because I don't like these days working off a hot-headed reaction to things, but there's a lot to talk about here. So first of all, I'm not going to tackle the elephant in the room immediately. I'm going to go through the other stuff. So first of all, we saw Torbjorn's new look. Yeah, it looks great. We got to see New York City, Rome, and Monte Carlo. We've never seen Monte Carlo before in terms of play. So this was really nice to see. They look like beautiful maps. We've also seen Rio de Janeiro, the actual PvP map version of it, and that was beautiful. The maps as ever look beautiful, and you know, we got to see some of the new looks in action. We got to see Torb's new look, McCree, Widow, all in action during the gameplay demos. So this was really, really nice, and there was some significant UI changes to Zenyatta with his Discord distribution and his healing distribution, his healing orb distribution, and then also Mercy and her beam attachments. So there were some really neat changes. I liked it. That was the bit I liked. We're also seeing some very significant changes to heroes. So an update to May's Endothermic Blaster, which means it will still slow and damage enemies, but it will not freeze enemies in Overwatch 2. May will not be able to freeze enemies with primary fire in Overwatch 2. I love that change. I absolutely love that change, and that's something I've wanted for a very long time. They're also they're reworking Bastion from the ground up. Very, very interesting. I'm not too surprised about that because it's quite clear that they're going in a different direction with the PvP to a more fast-paced game, which means that Bastion doesn't really fit in because he's not fast-paced. He's very clunky. Bastion always has been, so that's kind of why they're looking at him and the way he plays. And this all comes to the pinnacle of something. Another thing to talk about is that we got to see more of Push. Again, Push is a fantastic mode, but we also finally had it confirmed that Assault, also known as 2CP, will be removed from competitive play in Overwatch 2. 2CP is being retired. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that lose sleep over this. I hope we still get to see 2CP and its associated maps, because I think the maps are really beautiful. Like, yeah, we don't really like Horizon. A lot of people don't like Horizon, but I didn't mind Horizon. Paris obviously is a stinker. People don't like Paris. But Hanamura is a beautiful map. Maps like that, they are really beautiful, and we wouldn't want to see them disappear completely. So yeah, it's glad to see that. But they have confirmed that not only Push will be added to the competitive Overwatch 2 launch, there will also be another new game mode to replace Assault. So that will be very interesting, but it will still have Assault maps available to play in some capacity in custom games, etc. with the release of Overwatch 2, which is really nice. It'll be a waste of talented map design to actually just completely disintegrate them. We don't know the new game mode that will be replacing the 2CP mode. However, I have a feeling. I know it will be something. The problem with 2CP is obviously it's drawable and things like that. It can go on for ages. But there is a little known trick in competitive Overwatch that if you can master point control, you can win pretty much any series in Overwatch. Simply because even if it goes to 5 maps, the last one is control. So if you can master a point-based game, which means basically winning every control map and winning every 2CP/assault map, then you will win every Overwatch game because you will win 3 maps in a competitive environment. So I think that's something they may be trying to tackle. You can see from Push that it is a very hard game mode to draw, and every other game mode is generally quite hard to draw as well, apart from Hybrid. So yeah, I think that may be where they go down, and they try to make something that is quite hard to draw, make sure it gives you a complete result, and yeah, risks less in terms of having your time wasted, because let's be honest, nobody likes going into a 2CP match, it going to 6-6 or something stupid like that, and it ending in a draw. And that happens more often than not. More often than you would perhaps expect, and that's probably why they are removing 2CP So yeah, that's that. But now we move on to the elephant in the room, right? And this is the heavy changes to competitive play that would see Overwatch 2 adopt a 5v5 play style instead of a 6v6. This is monumental and the biggest shift that Overwatch has ever seen. The core Overwatch PvP experience will shift from a 6-player per team to 5-player per team basis in the standard PvP game modes of Overwatch 2. It will be locked to 1 tank, 2 damage, and 2 support heroes. Oh boy. There have been experiments in the past with 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 2 supports. They didn't work, they reverted it to triple 2. This is very polarizing and very controversial. In a very wide spectrum of ways. So, they are heavily buffing tanks, so you can quite clearly see that. There's also going to be passives attached to each role. DPS will have a speed boost increase. All support heroes will regain HP over time, like Mercy's passive. And the tanks will have reduced knockback, but also they will provide less ultimate charge to opponents who damage them, compared to other roles. Which is a significant change because, at the moment, tanks are feeders. No matter what tank you play, tanks are feeders because they are massive ult batteries, they always have been. That's why Roadhog doesn't get played too much at the highest level to play, because he's the biggest ult battery of all, and doesn't really have much in terms of give back or a return for that handoff. So that's why we don't see much Roadhog, and this is something to combat that. It's very interesting. The reduced knockback, you can kind of see trials of it already because Reinhardt was given that passive not so long ago. So that's what you're looking at, but it'll be on every single tank. This is obviously a move that is being also spearheaded by the fact that there'll only be 1 tank. And it is good and bad in different ways. This has some different aspects because there is a significant problem in Overwatch right now. There is a lot of off-tank players, but very few main tank players, because main tank is not that fun to play at the end of the day. And that's kind of down to CC and a wealth of other things. But there are heroes that benefit and don't benefit from this, from what I've been looking at. And there's also elephants in the room in terms of pro play and, you know, things like that. And that's sort of what you have to contest with this. It is a nightmare for supports and tanks most. There is less protection for supports because there's no off-tank. If there's no off-tank, there's no peel off-tank. Off-tanks are incredibly good at peeling for the rest of their team. That is what D.Va's primary use has been for years, especially prior to her missiles. She was a peel tank who protected her supports. She was incredibly good at it with her cone defense matrix. And now that's not going to be possible because they want to turn tanks less protective and turn them into more brawlers, which has trade-offs. It makes the game faster. It makes possibly tank more fun. However, it does mean that there's less protection for DPS and supports, which means they're going to have to become much more self-sufficient. It means that the way in which they play those heroes may change. It is not something that just affects tanks, it affects the entire game, and that's coming from a tank main. There's also the elephant in the room of the current tank heroes we have. Your current tanks, main tanks, so Orisa, Reinhardt, Winston, and Wrecking Ball to an extent. They all would be fairly fine with minor adjustments. Winston is getting a minor adjustment with a distance charged shot from his Tesla cannon. Reinhardt's also getting changes with double fire strike, things like that. We're also seeing, we haven't seen any changes to Orisa, I don't think. And I haven't seen any changes to Wrecking Ball. I don't think there will be any changes to Wrecking Ball. Because, in my opinion, in this meta right now, Wrecking Ball will be the most powerful tank. He's already doing very good jobs at the moment. In a single tank meta, Wrecking Ball is going to be very good, probably. But the elephant in the room, obviously, is the off-tank role. I haven't seen any significant changes to Roadhog, which almost certainly makes him one of the worst tanks. I haven't seen a significant enough change to D.Va. So I think she would be poor, but she could also be used in a very similar style to Wrecking Ball, especially if tanks become real brawlers. And they're less likely to be peeling and stuff like that, but it's going to be a monumental change in playstyle for D.Va players, without a doubt, being the solo tank, being the main tank. It's going to be very interesting to see how that kind of lies. Then you have Zarya. Zarya is probably in the best place of the off-tanks, in my opinion. No, second best place of the off-tanks. She's getting double bubbles, basically. She can have up to 2 personal and 2 allies, which means she's much more able to protect the people around her. Of course, she still does nice damage output, etc. That's going to be good for Zarya, although I'm not quite sure how much she's going to be used in that. Again, it very much depends on how the playstyle goes. Then you have Sigma. Sigma is the jack of all trades. When Sigma came into the game, we debated whether he was a main tank or an off tank. And to be honest, Sigma needs no changes. He will be a very good main tank. He will be a very good solo tank. Because Sigma just does everything. He does too much. That's always been the problem with Sigma. And he's got a kit that is literally perfect for a solo tank meta. Literally perfect. So that could be why Sigma's here. This could have been something in mind. However, I don't think so somehow, because I'm not quite sure why in 2019 we were shown a 6v6 preview of PvP. And now we're getting shown 5v5. That is mega sus, if you ask me. Very interesting, and it's... Jeff Kaplan left not so long ago. I wonder why he left. I'm going to leave that there. Because I know for a fact that at the pro level, COD League did this where they cut down the teams by 1 member. It was very controversial. And this is exactly what they're doing, and this takes us to the pro meta, right? It's different at different levels of pro play. It is very difficult below open division because you just have off-tank mains and they will be redundant. Simple as that. They will be redundant. They can still play the heroes they were playing, but they will be main tanks and played very differently. They'll have a very long time to adjust. Then you have contenders level. There will be some that can adjust and some that can't. I think that'll be quite clear. Most of them I don't expect them to be able to though. Then you come to the Overwatch League level. That is where actually it would probably affect the least in terms of players transitioning, because off-tank players at that level are so good that they could transition to a different role. When you look over the years, you have seen off-tanks pick up different roles. We've seen Hotbar pop off on Tracer. We've seen Fury pop off on DPS. Things like that. So it is possible for the highest level off-tank players to transition to another role, whether that be tank or DPS or support. It doesn't really matter. So they would find another place, but there wouldn't be the places for them to fill, because each team would only need 5 people to field at a time, not 6. So team sizes would inevitably decrease, meaning less opportunities in the league because there's less player spots to fill. Even if every team had a maximum of 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, it would be still less spots than you would have in a previous. And it also means less playtime for certain people. It means that tanks, possibly in the Overwatch League level, are going to become very congested. And it's going to be a very, very highly skilled role because, well, there's going to be a massive, massive competition for that role. So there is a lot to take in. But the biggest thing that worries me about this, it's not the 5v5. It's not the meta. It's not what it does to pro play. It's not what it does to my play. I can adjust. I always have done. I've played both tanks, both styles of tanks. It's fine. Whatever. What worries me, first of all, it will alienate part of the community because there are parts of the community that are just off-tank players. I think Blizzard are very heavily saying, well, we just expect them to play the heroes they were playing and they'll be good, I am sure. But that's not going to probably be the case in everyone's opinion, because playstyles will have to change if you want to climb. Simple as that. Because there'll be a way to play tank. No matter what tank you play, there is a way to play tank. Right? If you're a main tank, you're the spearhead of the team. If you're an off tank, it can become slightly blurred with off tanks to an extent, which is possibly why they're doing this as well. But your role has some sort of designation that could change with the tank, and then if your off tank play doesn't fit that sort of style, there's a massive learning curve to sort of get that right. But the thing that really bugs me the most, Overwatch 2 was billed as pretty much a massive expansion to the Overwatch experience, not a completely separate brand new entity. And that in essence means that yes, we're adding PvE, yes, we're adding things to PvP, but the biggest thing is that competitive and PvP play will be cross-generational between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. So that means that Overwatch 1 will become a 5v5 game as well. But at that point, you have to ask the question, is Overwatch still Overwatch? Because if you search Overwatch, you ask people in the gaming community, what's Overwatch? They'll tell you it's a 6v6 FPS game made by Blizzard. But it wouldn't be a 6v6 FPS game made by Blizzard anymore. It would be a 5v5. So, is this new 5v5 brawly tank experience still Overwatch? Or is it truly a brand new game? At this point, it feels like a brand new game. It doesn't feel like an expansion. It doesn't feel like a massive change. It feels like Overwatch 2. It feels like a new game. And there will be a massive, massive learning curve for everyone. Benefits. Tracer, Genji, people like that, they're going to have a field day. Less peel. Simple as that. Anna would be a massive beneficiary to this because her nade will get so much more value than it already does, and it's incredibly strong already. Zenyatta will also be a massive gainer to a team of 5. So that's the question I'll end on though. Is Overwatch still Overwatch if it's 5v5? Because Overwatch has always been a 6v6 FPS game, and it won't be that anymore. So essentially, it's a new game. Not an expansion. Not an addition. A new game. That's my view. I'd love to know your guys' view as well. We're going to have to wait and see what happens later on in this year, because I'm sure there's going to be more info given to us. But, this is polarizing, and I don't even know how I feel about it myself, I'm not going to lie. This is going to be, and I've been coining it for a while now with people that know me, but this is the biggest 6 months in Overwatch's history. And it will be sink or swim. It will either keep treading along like it is, and Overwatch 2 will be in essence a failure to reboot, or it will work. What do you think? But socials are linked in the video description as ever for Illusion Gaming and myself. Give the Twitters a follow. Give the join the Discords for discussion about Overwatch 2, Overwatch League, Overwatch Contenders, lots of stuff. And also head over to the Twitch and give the Twitch a follow as well. You never know when that might become active again. But I am going to be leaving it here for this one. Let me know what you think about Overwatch 2 in the comments below, and 5v5. But for now, thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.